Hi everyone, it's Maria from Creative Grids, and today I'm going to show you how to make this really fun pineapple pop-out block. We're going to use the original pineapple trim tool and the mini pineapple trim tool designed by Jean Ann Wright. She's done 3 different pineapple trim tools. This block is going to use the first 2 that came out in that series. First, let's organize the things that we need to make this block. I'm going to pull out my Creative Grid rotary cutting mat, my Creative Grid rotary cutter. I'm going to use the pineapple trim tools. The mini makes a 4, 5, or 6-inch block, and the original pineapple trim tool makes a 6, 8, or 10-inch block. And for this project, we're going to do the 10-inch block. I'm also going to gather my fabrics. And using my ABC 1, 2, 3 pins, first off I'm going to cut my centers, and then I'm going to cut the parts for the rounds. So white is going to be round number 1, blues for number 2, another white for number 3, a blue for number 4, white for number 5, and blue for number 6. We've got more rounds to go, but let's start with those. After 6, we're going to switch tools, and the strips are going to change size. For the mini tool part, these are 1 1/4 inches, and for the original tool part, they're going to be 1 3/4 inches. There's round 8 and 9 and 10, and I love how the size grows. There's 11 and 12, and last but not least, round 13, which is going to be the corners of the block. You're going to want to refer to the supply list in the cut loose press pattern. For this little tote bag, it's going to be 1 set of measurements, and for the quilt behind me and then the other table runner that was made like this, the yardage will be different, so refer to each one depending on which project you're working on. For this little patriotic tote I'm going to show you, you're going to need 5/8 of a yard of red flag print. That's going to be the bag front, one of the bag handles, and the front lining of the bag. You're also going to need 5/8 of a yard of a blue patriotic print or flag. That's going to be the back of the bag, one of the handles, and the back lining for the bag. In addition, you're going to want 1/3 of a yard of red prints, 1/3 of a yard of blue prints, a fat quarter of white, and a craft size batting in order to quilt the bag. The pattern is going to refer you to the instructions in the insert that comes with each tool, and they are going to look like this. We're going to start with round 1 and work our way over to round 6. So when you're looking at the insert, we're going to stop right there before switching tools. So let's get started on this block. Here I've got round 1 sewn on, so I'm going to use my tool and my rotary cutter to do some trimming. You're going to want to line up the round 1 marking square on the tool with the center square of your block, and I'm going to trim off all 4 corners of the square. There is a trimmed round 1. Now I've added round 2, so we're going to trim that next. I'm going to turn that ruler around, find the round 2 marking square, line that up with my center square, and trim off the corners. round 3, I've added another set of white strips. And for these rounds, for round 3 on out, you're still going to use this angled side, but now I'm going to line up this white line along with the seam line on the round before. So I only want to shave off the tips of the white there. And on to the next round. I'm going to continue like this through round 6, and then we're going to switch strip sizes. Now for round 7, I'm going to start adding those wider strips, but I'm still going to trim one more time with my mini tool. And if you think about it, the reason why is that this last blue strip that I added is from the mini tool dimensions, which is a 1 1/4 inch strip. I want all of these to look the same in the block, so that makes sense to use this one more time to trim this blue edge. Now I can put this tool to the side and bring out my other trim tool. At this point, the directions in the pattern are going to tell you to refer to the insert from the pineapple trim tool, which is the larger version, or actually the original version. So I'm going to start right here. We're going to start with the round 4 trimming. The only difference is I'm going to have many more pieces in here than what this illustration has. And then when I flip it over, we're going to continue trimming until we get to the end of the 10-inch block. I'm going to take that tool and find round 4, which happens to be right here. And because it's an even round, I'm going to use the corner for trimming. That round 4 is going to line up on what's actually round 2 for the mini block, but you see how that square fits right into that marking spot. The lines of the ruler are lining up on my seam lines, and I'm cutting off that seam allowance from the corners just like we did with the mini. Let's continue on with that next set of strips. And there we are to round 8. The final step is to add rectangles to the corners in order to finish out the block and trim one last time. So before I add these rectangles, I've got one more step of trimming to do. And sometimes I forget this at the end, but if you follow the directions in the insert, it tells you all about it. You're going to line that odd numbered line up, the angled side up on that last seam line on your colored piece, or your last round, round 8, and trim one more time. Earlier I said we wanted to trim that blue one more time, so these were all the same. Now I want these to all be the same width, thus the one more place to trim. Now I'm going to add my last parts and finish up this block. So here I've got my corners sewn on. I'm going to do one final trim and my block is done. I'm going to line this back up on those edges. And if you can see here, I've got round 8 centering square over that center section of the mini block. The raw edges are lining up here and here, so I can trim off the extra ears on the corners. And then move my hand to go with the grip. Turn that block around and trim the last couple spots. There is your 10.5-inch pineapple block, soon to be a 10-inch finished pineapple block. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to make a pineapple pop-out block. Today we made the red pineapple square, and I want to show you the opposite side of this bag. Here is a blue pineapple square that has the red mini in the center. So there's all kinds of options. You can see from the quilt behind me that Jean Ann used all kinds of colors to create that one. So only your imagination is the limit. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook to stay up to date on the newest products, patterns, and techniques. And I'll see you all real soon.